Hello, everyone. Welcome, and thank you for joining me to Iridescent 808. I am Yoshi Lan, and I'm going to be talking about centeredness. What is being centered? What is it like? Is it really a thing? So, a lot of spiritual people will go straight to centeredness, and a very particular type of centeredness. You might have heard the phrase heart centered, right? Heart centered. It's a very big thing now in the spiritual community. And I am probably one of the outliers in this whole heart center craze, but I do not subscribe to the heart center, nor do I ever use the term heart center. Okay? That's not in my vocabulary. I don't think it's a thing. I don't think it should be a thing. And here's why. So, when a lot of people talk about heart center, they are talking about their heart something. I don't really know. I don't really get it. They don't really get it either. And when they talk about it, I see that they don't get it because their energy and their subconscious isn't quite clear. It's not concise. And the mind also has a difficult time visualizing what the hell a heart center is. So when you go to being centered, the way that I teach it is that you are centering to your very being. Okay? And the first step in this process is called grounding. So if you haven't seen my video yet, I recommend taking a look at what grounding is and being acquainted with different grounding practices, because that's the very first step. If you don't have awareness of your own internal self, like you don't know if you're in pain or the energy is flowing inside of you, then I suggest you do some grounding practices, meditations, exercises, whatever helps you ground, okay? And then the next step is to center. So the heart chakra is the center of our being, but we don't center specifically to our heart chakra, okay? What I tell people is to center toward their whole being, because we're not in the business of trapping ourselves into our heart chakra. There's a lot of overemphasis on the heart chakra. The heart chakra is just one part of our entire being. So why should our awareness and all this other stuff be from our heart center? Does that make sense? I don't think it makes sense. Actually, that doesn't make sense, right? It should be from our whole being, because when we are centered, we should be centered to our whole being. Ideally, we are centered to our whole being so that we are aware of everything that is around us, of all our chakras and all our senses. And if you just focus on your heart center, then all sorts of things can happen. Okay? And an example of this is what happened with my former spiritual mentor. What happened with her was she kept using the phrase heart center, and over time, because there is a confusion between chakras and heart center, it's not congruent, right? So I'll give you an example of that. Crown chakra, third eye chakra, throat chakra, heart center, solar plexus. You get what I mean? Solar plexus chakra, and then so forth. So it's just chakra, 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 center, chakra, chakra. What is the center, right? It's not consistent. So if it's not consistent, then the brain has difficulty figuring out what exactly you're talking about. Now, it's different if you were to say like my crown center, my third eye center, and and so forth. Then that's completely different, because the word center is being associated with the actual chakra. And when you have this type of inconsistency, it's very easy for the ego to step in and warp your senses when there's triggers amiss. And that can be very often. So when my heart chakra awoke and I had access to my heart chakra senses, I was able to see that she actually wasn't connected to her heart chakra. She wasn't actually connecting to it. Her ego was making her think that she was connecting to her heart center, and she was connecting to her heart center, but she wasn't connecting to her heart chakra. And so there's this gray area around her heart chakra that she was connecting to, but she didn't actually get into her heart. Yeah, that kind of stuff sounds very scary, but if you organize things in your mind and you have a very clear idea of what you're doing, what you're intending, then that's not going to happen. So if you found this information beneficial, please support my channel, subscribe to me, and also like my video and put down a comment. If you have issues with centeredness, or if you know somebody who's in the whole heart center business and now you're like, oh, okay, that's definitely not something I want to do now, write it down and comment. Or maybe you are part of that whole heart-centered shenanigans, and you know maybe now you're not going to put so much emphasis on the heart, because if you're centered to your whole being, your heart's going to be there anyway. Okay, you don't need to emphasize the heart center. If you're connected to yourself and your whole being, it's going to be natural. So that's the other thing about the whole heart center movement, is that there's so much force into it. You don't force yourself to come from the heart. If you're centered in your whole being and you connect with other people on an authentic level, this whole heart aspect is natural. We want a natural growth and development. Otherwise, it's just constant focus. And am I connected to my heart center? Am I not connected? And that's exactly what actually happened with my former spiritual mentor. I just didn't understand what this whole connected thing is. She was really obsessed with connecting with her heart. It's like, oh, I'm disconnected. Oh, I'm connected. Oh, I'm disconnected. It gets really crazy. So because of that experience and having seen that happen to somebody who is very spiritually aware of energies and all this other stuff, and how the ego can still come in and warp senses, that's why I have shifted away from focusing on the heart center. All right, namaskara. See you guys around. And if you have any other comments, please let me know. Let's get discussions going, and I'll see you around.